On today's episode, we focus on Champagne's very own Kylan Boswell.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome all to another edition of Locked On Illini. Thank you all so much for making us your first listen each and every day. My name is Sunny Verma, your host here at Locked On, where I continue to provide you coverage daily. That's right, every single day. No such thing as an off season here in the Locked On Network. The only thing I ask for in return is to make sure you smash that subscribe button and make sure you like this particular video. I promise it's a good one. I apologize for the delay. You may or may not be able to tell. I've got a very sore throat. I'm trying to do my best to tough it out because I know I haven't released an episode on this Friday. But like I said, no days off. When I say we have coverage every single day, I'm telling you we'll have coverage every single day. What I wanted to do for today's episode was do something which I think I'm going to do moving forward on Fridays. Do like a player spotlight type of series. Just do kind of a player profile on the basketball side. Maybe one every week. If you think I should do two every week, let me know in the comments section. I always appreciate your guys' feedback. But by the way, find me on all your favorite social medias. Do a quick search for Locked On Illini, Talk Illini, or DSunnyV, or just email me at talkillini@gmail.com. Again, I always appreciate any feedback you guys have or suggestions on topics that you want me to cover, especially now. I've got more time to consider the suggestions that you guys might have. But today, we're going to kick off a player spotlight series. And the first guy I wanted to kick this off with is I was undecided, right? Now, admittedly, I was a little undecided on who I wanted to kick this off with. I could have gone with who I consider was the MVP of last year's team, Tomislav Ivica. He could very well be the MVP of this upcoming year. Andrei Stojakovic, obviously, is going to be what I think is probably going to be the best player on next year's roster. But ultimately, I decided to settle in on Kylan Boswell, the guard from Champaign. And with this series, we're going to break down what they accomplished last season and what we expect from them this upcoming year. So in Kylan's case, let's go ahead and rewind to last season. Boswell, as we all know, transferred back home to Illinois after a couple seasons at Arizona, and he didn't really waste any time becoming one of the cornerstones for Brad Underwood's squad. 6'2", 200-pound guard, started 34 of 35 games and put up career highs across the board. 12.3 points per game, 4.8 rebounds per game, 3.4 assists per game, and 1.1 steals per game. I mean, that's the type of stat line alone gives you a feel for the all-around game that he does have. But let's try to get a little bit more specific. He gave us one of his most memorable games of the year against Chicago State, where he performed that triple-double, which was, by the way, only the 7th in Illini history. And down the stretch, mainly is when he really caught fire. Over Illinois' last 8 games, including the Big Ten and NCAA tournaments, Boswell averaged nearly 17 points a game. He dropped 24 against Iowa in the Big Ten tournament and capped the season with 23 points and 6 assists in the tournament loss to Kentucky. Scoring in double figures in each of his final 8 games, he showed poise. He showed aggression and the ability to lead when it mattered most. And it's not just scoring. Boswell did it all. He hit career highs in assists and rebounds, as I mentioned, which shows he wasn't just focused on getting his, but for helping the team flow. So let's talk a little development. Boswell became a different player later in the year. And trust me, hand up, if you didn't know that, if you watched Locked On Illini, you did know that. A lot of my early season frustrations had a lot to do with Kylan Boswell. And at some point halfway through the year, I almost questioned whether Kylan should remain starting. But he obviously turned things around by the end of the year. He got downhill far more aggressively, finishing at the rim with strength and confidence. His free throw attempts skyrocketed up over 300% from his days at Arizona, which shows he was seeking contact and making defenders pay. And the growth at the rim was substantial. Back in 2022-23 at Arizona, only 14% of his shot attempts came at the rim. That number grew nearly 50% last year at Illinois. And even more impressive, He converted 60% of those looks, meaning he wasn't just taking better shots. He was actually finishing. It was not all gravy, though. The one aspect of his game that did take a step back was his three-point shooting. He hit just 24.5% from deep this past season, a big drop from his 30% average over the last 2 years at Arizona. But there's reason, or maybe hope, to believe that that was just a slump. He went 9 for 23 from deep during the postseason play, indicating that his stroke might be returning. But where Kylan was at his best this past year was defensively. Boswell was an absolute menace on the defensive side of the basketball, whether it was shutting down Mark Sears of Alabama, who he held to 0 points, by the way, or frustrating guys like Peyton Samford, Boogie Flan, and Ryan Conwell. Boswell was the Illini's go-to perimeter defender. He was versatile enough to guard almost any backcourt player and tough enough to even battle some wings. His performances on defense were at times the quiet key to some of Illinois' best wins of the season. Brad trusted him with the toughest assignments, and more often than not, Kylan Boswell delivered. And don't forget, he's doing this while shouldering a significant offensive load too. And that's the kind of two-way effort that separates good players from the great ones. So what are our expectations for Kylan in 2025-2026? Let's start with the obvious. He's got a huge leadership role that he's going to be inheriting. With Kasparis and Will Riley headed to the NBA, this is now officially Kylan Boswell's team. He's a senior voice in that locker room, the guy who's been in high major wars, and now the full-time guard. He's shown flashes of being a vocal leader, but this is the year where we're really going to need him to take on that role on a full-time basis. Offensively, I expect him to be more assertive from day one. I really do want a continuation of the variation of Kylan that we saw at the end of last year, attacking downhill, getting to the line, and hopefully regaining some of that outside shooting that he had years prior. With new additions like Andrei Stojakovic and Mihailo Petrovic helping space the floor, I think Boswell should see more catch and shoot opportunities, which were his bread and butter at Arizona. He posted a 2.0 assist to turnover ratio over the final 8 games last year. So there's reason to believe that he could improve as a decision maker. And if Illinois plays with more tempo, as some are expecting, Boswell's physicality and pace could become an even greater weapon in transition. I aired my concern early in the offseason about Kylan Boswell being the point guard on next year's team. While I just got finished telling you about how strong he finished over the last 6-7 weeks or so, earlier on in the season when Kasparis Yakishona had actually gotten hurt and Kylan was trusted to become the primary playmaker, not only did Kylan Boswell struggle, but the Illini struggled at that point. And so if Brad Underwood was going to trust Kylan to lead next year's team and be the full-time point guard on next year's squad, I would have been okay with it, but I would have had my concerns. But now with the recent addition of Mihailo Petrovic, I think Petrovic is probably going to be handling the ball more often than not, and I'm completely okay with that. Keep in mind, Petrovic is 22 years old. Kylan Boswell, I believe, even though he's entering his senior year, I believe he's only 19, maybe even 20 years old coming into this year. He's a young player. Petrovic has played at the highest levels in Europe. Again, he was a European MVP candidate. And just if you watch some of his highlights on YouTube, but if you haven't, I highly recommend you do. I think he looks like a more natural point guard, which is going to give Kylan the opportunity to do what he did last year, be a secondary playmaker, but at the same time, hopefully Andres, Mihailo, Tommy, they can find Kylan open looks. And if the open looks aren't there, Kylan continue to attack the basket like he did so well at the end of the year. Defensively, I think he's got a real legitimate shot at the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. Look, the coaches vote for that. And if they look past just the numerical stats like steals and focus on actual impact, I think Boswell absolutely has a case. He averaged just over 1 steal per game last season, which isn't going to wow you on a stat sheet, but his impact was so much deeper. He blew up pick and rolls. He fought through screens and rotated well on help defense. He was a tone setter. And now with Ace Baldwin Jr. gone and other stat monsters like Nate Biddle focusing more on rim protection, the path is clear for a perimeter player like Boswell to possibly establish himself for the award. Bottom line is Kylan Boswell is primed for a huge senior season. He's got the experience, he's got the toughness, and I do believe he has the skill set. And now he has the opportunity. If he can shoot even close to his numbers at Arizona, if he can continue being that perimeter defensive stalwart and take command of the team, he could potentially be in the running for an all Big Ten guard position. And undoubtedly one of the most important players in the conference. Illinois returns 42% of its scoring next season, and Boswell will be the bridge between the old and the new. If he thrives in that role, Illinois could not just compete for another Big Ten title, but they might have a chance of making a serious run in March. Let me know your thoughts. Give me a stat line projection for Kylan Boswell next year, his senior year. Do you think he's a starting point guard, or do you think Mihailo is going to be the starting point guard? I'm very curious on your guys' thoughts. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways to play smart and win big. Hey, look, if you're watching every game and you feel like you've got a pretty good read on what's going on, why not back it up with the same game parlay? New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And welcome back to Locked On Illini. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It's still my goal to hit 5,000 subs on YouTube before that August 29th kickoff against Western Illinois. Next up, I'm going to be talking about a name that Illini fans at this point might be familiar with. His name is Alex Costanza. This kid could be the centerpiece of Brad Underwood's 2026 recruiting class. And his latest move might be exactly what Illinois needed to make a real run at. Let's start with where things stand as of now. Illinois does not have a single commitment in the 2026 class, but let me tell you, that's not unusual in today's college basketball landscape. The portal is king, and NIL plays a huge role, especially at a university like Illinois. 10 years ago, fans would be freaking out. Today, it's all about patience and it's all about positioning. And when it comes to positioning, Illinois is in a good one with Alex Costanza. This is a 6'8", 205-pound, 5-star forward who's ranked number 14th nationally, number 4 among small forwards, and number 3 overall player in the entire state of Florida, according to 24/7 Sports. He's a true game changer, a big-time athlete, long frame, great feel for the game, and the guy who can play on the wing or even stretch to the 4 spot when necessary in certain lineups. Costanza had been playing at Westminster Academy down in Florida, where he put up very good, solid numbers, averaging 29.4 points per game, 10.9 rebounds per game, 3.5 assists, and 1.2 steals per game, albeit in only 14 games last season. But here's the news. He's transferring to Spire Academy in Geneva, Ohio. So why is that important? Because proximity could matter here. Illinois is now just 479 miles away from Costanza, as opposed to over 1,200 miles when he was in Florida. That could potentially mean more visits. That could potentially mean more FaceTime and more opportunities to build a trust and to continue to build on that relationship. And let's not overlook the coaching factor. The Spire just brought in Kevin Boyle as a head coach, a man who turned Mount Verde Academy into a national powerhouse. Boyle has coached 3 number 1 NBA draft picks, including this year's projected top pick, Cooper flag. Boyle's presence means elite competition, development, and visibility for Costanza. But here's where Illinois really does come in. Costanza took an official visit to Illinois back in December. That visit is key. It tells you that he's interested. It shows you that he's intrigued. And now, with him playing ball in Ohio, the Illini staff will have more opportunities, more chances to reinforce that connection. Show up at his games, meet his family, prove to him that he really is priority number one. Because make no mistake, this is a recruitment that's worth investing in. Costanza already holds offers from schools like Alabama, Auburn, Syracuse, Washington. This is not going to be an easy battle, but Illinois absolutely has a shot, might even be the favorite if they continue to stay aggressive. So what's next? Expect Brad Underwood and his staff to crank up the recruiting push. They know how to recruit nationally now, but when you get a guy like Costanza within driving distance, you take advantage. You don't let up. I'll tell you right now, on June 25th, when that NBA draft lottery is happening, as soon as Kasper Jonas is drafted, and maybe even Will Riley at the end of that NBA lottery, the Costanza family is going to be getting text messages from Brad Underwood and the entire coaching staff saying, hey, look what we did for those guys. I assure you, we can do the same for you. Spire Academy is going to be a big-time program this year, loaded with talent, and joining the Nike EYBL Scholastic League alongside such giants like IMG, La Lumiere, and Sunrise Christian. So Costanza will be battle-tested. He's going to play against the best. That makes his development all the more important and all the more intriguing to schools like Illinois. Look, the Illini might not have a 2026 commitment yet, but Costanza is the type of player, the type of prospect that changes the trajectory of the class. If the Illini can land him, that alone could jumpstart a top 10 class in the country. How important are top 10 classes for Brad Underwood and the Illini right now? Let's be honest. They're not very important at all. But I still foresee Brad trying to bring in 1, 2, maybe even 3 young freshmen every single year. And again, when you have guys as talented as Alex Costanza interested in your program, you seek that out. And when you have the relationships that you've already built between Costanza and Coach Orlando Antigua, Alex actually calls Orlando uncle to let you know just how close their relationship is. It isn't technically familial, but Orlando and Costanza's father are very close. And again, this is what you do. This is why you brought in the, in my opinion, best assistant coach in college basketball. It's because he has connections like this. But as I said, that doesn't mean you can take it easy on a recruitment like this. But it's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on over the next couple of months. And I'll just say, when it comes to big picture, I'm glad that Costanza made this move, made this transfer, and I think it could bode well for the Illini. And welcome back to Locked On Illini. Thank you so much for sticking around as long as you have today, despite my voice. It's been a battle, but I can see the finish line at this point. I did want to do a friendly reminder that on June 20th, we're going to be having our first ever Locked On Illini group outing. It's going to be in Wrigleyville. A lot of us are going to be catching the Cubs versus the Mariners game. I believe it's a Friday, 1:20 game. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, even if you can't make it for the game itself, meet us before or meet us after the game. I'd love to get to know the community a little bit more. Our community continues to grow. We've got over 300 Illini fans in the Talk Illini Discord. The link should be in the description. Please join us. Again, we're talking Illini sports and just sports in general, and sometimes even life each and every day on that Discord. So if you're looking to not bother your uncle about what's going on with the Illini athletics because simply he doesn't care and you want to talk with like-minded folks, make sure you join that Discord. It'll be nice. Not only are we building a community online, but on June 20th, a lot of us are going to be able to meet. Again, if you're interested in that, send me an email at talkillini@gmail.com. We're all sitting in the bleachers, so buy a ticket. There's no set seating. We're all going to basically sit together as a group. Just reach out to me on social media or send me an email and I can give you further details. Speaking of further details, football season is only like 58 or 59 days away. At least camp is only that much longer. Illinois on Thursday announced the starting times for their first 3 games of the season. Of course, they kick off the season on Friday, August 29th, where hopefully, again, as I mentioned, we have hit that 5,000 subscribers mark here on Locked On Illini. Western Illinois at Illinois, it's going to be at 6:30 p.m. Central, and you'll be able to watch that game on Peacock. The very next game, September 6th on Saturday, Illinois will be going at Duke. They'll have an 11 a.m. kickoff. And notably, this game will be on either ABC or ESPN. So Illinois is getting some TV love very early in the season. And what I think is going to be one of the most, if not the most pivotal game of the season. I'm going to elaborate on that on a future episode. Week 3, Saturday, September 13th, Illinois is going to be playing Western Michigan. And that game is going to be at home at 6 p.m. and on the Fox Sports channel. If you haven't gotten your tickets at this point, look, in the years past, I would be making something up and trying to coerce you into buying tickets, saying, oh, look, get tickets while you can. But no, this year, I actually mean it. They've already sold out of the season ticket packages. Right now, they're trying to sell you the 4-game packages. I see a lot of you guys buying them online, and I know a couple of people in the Discord have bought them. Good on you, but those things are going to sell out too. So if you are interested in supporting your football team this upcoming season, I would do it quickly. And a simple reminder, if you're a new student, you can buy tickets to football games for the next 4 years for $250. Look, I don't work for the Illini Athletic Department. I don't need to advertise this. I'm advertising this for one reason. I want people there. I want to hear you screaming. And I truly do believe from the bottom of my heart that your fandom begins when you're at the game itself. When you're a student sitting amongst other students and you're screaming and cheering as loudly with amongst your friends for a very good football team, which is what I'm expecting them to be, I think that loyalty is going to last you to when you're done with school and you're working professionally and you're going to have a football program every Saturday that you're going to be proud of and you're going to be talking to your coworkers about. So I do hope that all of you, whether you're a student or an alum, or just a Champaign native, take advantage of all the season ticket packages that are being offered for the Illini currently. Also, Friday afternoon, Illinois announced a new recruitment. That's right, Brett isn't done. Eli Conan, I hope I'm saying that right, a 6'7", 275-pound defensive lineman from Baldwin, Wisconsin, announced his commitment from the Illini. Eli is going to have 3 years of eligibility remaining, and he's now the 5th transfer defensive lineman that's going to be coming to Champaign this offseason. Obviously, Brett is hard at work, and he doesn't rest, and that's got to be comforting because we all know how important the next couple of seasons are going to be for Illini football. For what I just described, right, the amount of support that they're going to be receiving moving forward, Brett does not relax. He's continuing to try to improve the floor of this football team, and I think a guy like Eli, who admittedly I don't know much about yet, but from the brief research that I've done before I started recording, sounds like a guy that can eventually settle in a year or two in that 4-eye spot that Brett really does covet. I did want to mention the new trailer for the new EA Sports College Football 26 game is out, and unfortunately this year, Illinois is nowhere to be found. They don't have any spots in the cover, even in the deluxe edition where you see other Big Ten teams, and this time they don't have a spot in the trailer either. Last year, you saw them hoisting the Illabuck Trophy in the victory against Ohio State. Some say a preview of this upcoming season. This year, though, nothing to be shown. I know some of you don't care. I'm telling you, it does matter. Ultimately, you want them involved because it's publicity, and it's undoubtedly one of the highest-selling sports games every single year. And so anytime you can get the orange and blue out there to the next generation, you really want that to happen. That's going to just about wrap it up for today's edition of Locked On Illini. Thank you all so much for making us your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. That's going to wrap it up. Again, feel free to reach out to me at talkillini@gmail.com. Got a lot of content for you next week. This, again, it never stops here on Locked On. I've got more stories than I have time, seemingly. But I promise if you're subscribed to the channel, You're not going to miss a thing. Until next time, ILL. Love you guys.